Oh, no, you should have been thinking about this all day.
I know, right?
Like, I'm just gonna wing it.
Yeah, pretty much. That's exactly how I am. So next we'll talk about Narset Transcendent.
You mean Narset Ridiculous?
Ridiculous.
Yep. Ridiculous.
Yep, baby girl. Hello, Magic players! Welcome to your weekly Magic the Gathering podcast featuring news, updates, deck techs, and just information that we as Magic players find relevant. I'm here with my co-host, Evan. Evan, go ahead and introduce yourself.
That's me, I'm Evan.
Now, Evan taught me how to play this game a long time ago.
Long time.
Yeah. So, a little less formal now, so we can just kind of get into it. I'll edit this all in post, it doesn't matter.
When did we start? I mean, it's close to 20 years now, right?
Yeah, I think it's at least 20 years. I just remember playing Portal on the grass at the park. I mean, we were, sophomores in high school? Freshmen? I don't know. Maybe, no, was that before?
We started playing in 8th grade.
Oh, God. Science class. Yep, it was science class.
So
but yeah, it was all the park, basically.
That was like 18 years ago we started playing.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Well, 18 years ago you started playing.
Yep.
I've been playing since Revised.
Yep. Today we're going to weigh in on a couple new updates that were released just recently. This is our first podcast, it's going to be like a webcast, just talking about, just all the above. But first, we're going to start talking about our little intro of what we like about Magic and what we tend to gravitate towards as far as Magic players. Evan, you can go ahead and lead us off there.
Oh, you're gonna leave?
Oh, yeah. It's all you, buddy.
Well, I mean, with me, it's always been about blue, and every time I take a break and come back, I think to myself, maybe this time I'm gonna try playing red. And every time I build a red deck, and it is the worst deck I've ever built. Somehow I get worse at building red decks and better at building blue decks, no matter what I do.
Nice.
And I always end up going straight back to blue or blue red or blue green or blue and something, and pretty much everything I build ends up having blue in it at some point during my return.
So you're essentially a shark, then you could say.
A shark?
I mean, not literally in the sea. No.
Yeah, sure.
The term shark, which I mean, that might surprise some people. You've been playing the game for 18 years, and you're not up to term on what these younger kids will coin as specific Magic terms. Shark, Timmy, Johnny, and all that type of stuff. Other podcasts and people like that in the community will claim to be, oh, well, I'm this, I'm that. It's like, to you, you're just a blue mage, basically, right?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
I play mind games. That's what I do.
Nice. Cha-ching. So, yeah, I started off being a red player. I was the one that did the crazy burn decks, and as I got more into the competitive scene, I started. I didn't like how those decks played. The whole red deck wins term just seemed cheap to me, reminiscent of like a kid literally playing on his kitchen table just trying to win fast because he has no skill at the game. Now, obviously, that's not true. Red deck wins does take
for a reason.
Yeah, it wins for a reason because it takes skill. You have to see your ins and you go in and you get in there. So the thing is, nowadays I would consider myself a blue player in my older age, but at the same time I'm more of a blue-black player or control player. I always try and find a good balance between control and mid-range in all the decks that I play. I'm never playing these fast aggressive decks and things like that anymore, which is another reason why I don't play standard that often. Nowadays I'm just playing limited and drafting. So all right, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about this banned list announcement. As of March 2015, Sheldon Menery posted on the MTGCommander.net forum that EDH, or Commander, would be annexed, or a rules announcement would be made where tucking is no longer possible for a commander. Um, if a commander would go to your hand or another zone other than a command zone or play, that that commander could go to the command zone. So tucking with Terminus, for instance, just can't happen anymore. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I'm going back and forth on it. On one hand, like I want to like the rule because every time Damia hits the board, she
Right?
gets tucked, and I love that deck so much. But it doesn't work without her. So it makes like I really like the rule for that reason. But it's at the same time, it's like now there's these cards that basically are just sitting there doing nothing for Commander because
Yeah.
there's better options for them. Like why
Yeah,
would why play Oblation from the Commander set when you
exactly.
could just run a path?
Exactly.
It doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. Yeah, so essentially you can play something like I don't even know, like any end of the battlefield trigger that actually is beneficial to you, and then shuffle that creature back into your library to draw two. So for white, they don't often get draw spells, so this is a good
Yeah,
way for you to maybe protect your planeswalker, shuffle it back into your library,
that's
and
true.
draw two cards. So Oblation I could still see play. I mean, it's only a 50-cent card anyway.
Yeah.
Well, ever since the commander printing, since the onslaught, it just really crippled that price. But other cards like Terminus, those are those are huge in EDH. And I think the other one, oh man, it's escaping me right now. I can't think of what it is. It's like 5 mana, just everything gets tucked underneath the bottom. Um, not Unburial. I don't know. It's okay. We'll pass that
MTG Salvation is so annoying.
up. Why do you say that?
They were like, oh, I'm gonna go look at this, and it's all okay. Wait for 10 seconds while we check out your browser to make sure you're an actual person.
What? That's weird. That's sad that it actually has to come to that.
Right?
Yeah. Um, I think that the rule update is actually, I mean, Magic players are always going to complain. So that said, as a premise, you got to preface that. Um, they're always going to complain whenever anything that is their, new underground format is made more popular or made more fair, so that certain aspects of it are more accommodating to new players, because I feel like this is definitely something that's accommodating to new players. Um, Alex, for instance, our buddy Alex, I will use as an example. He plays slivers because we built a sliver deck for him. Um, he played with us in high school, and since moved away, comes to visit and things like that. And one of the things that happens is he plays Sliver Hive Lord, and that gives all of his creatures indestructible, which it's really hard to kill and keep Sliver Hive Lord dead because he's indestructible. So the best way to get rid of him is to tuck him so that he can't just replay him every turn. So
And it happens
oh
every
yeah,
time.
oh yeah, we always that's the only way to get rid of him. So now you're looking at Sliver Hive Lord's impact being insane. Um, if we have to play with him, that means everyone's got to have exile effects until his mana cost is something like 20, and even then he probably still has enough slivers to kill you. So
Probably.
yeah, so I'm really sad that I built that deck for him. But we'll see what happens. In theory, I can imagine it having, a more positive outcome in the long term, but I feel like this kind of just makes the format a little more broken. Um, because then you just pick a commander and the commander will never go away. You'll always have the option of playing the commander as long as you just have enough mana ramp.
It puts a lot more emphasis on the commanders with some sort of what's the word?
Enter the battlefield, or
No, like hexproof, shroud,
oh
like
yeah, like
indestructible. Like
ever
it
some
puts
kind
a
of
lot more emphasis
evergreen,
on things
yeah,
where
evasion
because now that you can't tuck them, like Sigarda is just ridiculous.
for sure.
Like she was
Exactly.
ridiculous anyways, but at least she was susceptible to Terminus and
Yep.
What's that? What is that one? Hallowed Burial or something like that?
Hallowed Burial. That's what it was. It wasn't Unburial Rights, obviously.
Yeah.
Hallowed
So
Burial.
she was susceptible to things like that, but now she's just like, nah, I'm just gonna stand here the entire game.
Yep.
There's nothing you can do about it
And
anymore.
you can't even make me sacrifice myself, because guess what?
Yeah.
Her claws makes her unsacrificable,
She's so
if
cheap.
that's
If you
even a
do
word.
happen to tuck her, I mean, she's just gonna come out next turn anyways. So you're playing
Exactly.
green. Like it's
Exactly.
just
Yeah. So, I
time to
mean,
rebuild Sigarda.
with this announcement, I don't know if this carries over to Tiny Leader, because Tiny Leader technically mirrors Commander's rules list. I
I
don't
would think it would, but how many tuck spells are there
exactly. I mean,
even
you can't
available
you
for
can't
that?
play Hallowed Burial or Terminus, and it's a one man or sorry 1v1 format. So I don't even think that this matters.
For and who's gonna waste multiple card slots in a 50 card singleton?
That's true. That's true. Yeah. So Uh, personally, I've been building a lot of Tiny Leader lately. Ever since I believe we had the PPTQ at our local shop, and we played Standard at that. I've since disbanded my Standard deck, traded a bunch of it away, and just decided enough with Standard. I'm too old to play these, super fast rotating formats where all these kids are just like, oh, let me throw all my parents' money at this, blah blah blah, and I'm more of a trader. I love to trade at this point, and trading, favors people who own cubes, people who play singleton commander formats and things like that. So, I mean, I think I'm building like three tiny leader decks right now because I'm like all in at this point.
I
um,
I built a new one last night.
what do you got going on?
I built what's that blue guy Yunshun.
Oh, Shu
The
Yun. Yeah,
yeah the
yeah,
the red white blue.
yep,
I did red white blue prowess. It's it's pretty gnarly.
yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say your favorite card out of that build is? Because I imagine you've only solitaired it a few times now, right?
Yeah, I think the one that's really making it for me is I pulled the monastery mentor
Yeah,
out of the Guava deck because it didn't really need to be in there anyways, and I
yeah,
put I put that in there because I needed the prowess or the yeah I needed the prowess guy anyways. But between that and I put it in basically everything that was red or white that did damage and my Soulfire Grandmaster.
nice.
So it's pretty gnarly. The blue is very, very underrepresented in the deck. It's actually really aggressive for my playstyle, but
Yeah, yeah,
I think it's going to be fun in actual play. I wanted something that after playing my control versus Bill's control the other
sure,
night, I was
sure.
just like, oh my gosh, I need more aggression.
Of course, referring to our buddy Josh Bills. we we have something like five friends that are all named Josh, and we all had to start using last names all throughout high school. Yeah, Josh Bills' deck is pretty ridiculous.
It
You're
took me
are you
so
referring
long
to
to
his
beat it.
blue deck?
Yeah, it's that
Yeah.
wizard deck he put
Yep.
together.
Yep.
Took me so long to beat it. That was the longest game. It was so long we were just like, no, we're not playing 2 out of 3. We're done. This is over.
That single deciding factor.
Get regular EDH decks out. I'd rather play that right now.
Yep, yep, yep. Well, of the three that I'm building right now, I'm building Glissa the Trader. That's actually going to be a dredge deck. So it's going to, send a bunch of stuff to my graveyard, and I've got tons of recurring effects in there, and I'm even running a Crucible of Worlds so that I can, get my lands back, and it's going to be insane. I'm pulling out all the stops to make that the most dredgiest deck. I mean, it's super dangerous in a 50 card format, but that's the more fun part about it. So
Gotta take chances.
exactly. I mean, Felden's Cane and Glissa let me shuffle my graveyard back in, so it's we'll see how it goes. The other
Right.
one being Lizolda. Now I look through a bunch of boxes of my cards, and I mean we have tons of cards, but uh, I was able to find 16 unique 3 mana and lower destroy target land spells in black and red. So it is gonna be just black red's excuse. Like I just wanted to have an off the wall general that didn't focus on creatures, and she's a 3/1 for 3. So and I like her picture, so it's whatever. And it's a color enabler for me to be able to basically play oh, you're gonna play some lands. Well, guess what? That land's dead. That land's dead. That
Right.
land's dead. So and I mean 1v1 format. I'm gonna try and make it as most unfun for Chewy as I possibly
Yeah,
can.
pretty much.
Um, then Ragnar came in the mail today, so I'm super
Oh
pumped
snap!
about my Bant Viking deck. I'm gonna start building that, and I'm on Puka Trade and hoping to. I'm just waiting for my all of my cases to clear, or my sent cards to clear, so that I can get my points from everyone from escrow. And I'm sitting here waiting on Hannah Ship's Navigator Judge promo and Sword of Fire and Ice Judge promo. So
Nice.
yeah, that Hannah is gonna be sweet. She's, I mean, I might. I'm not sure if I'm gonna put it in the Ragnar deck or my Sidri deck. I already have my Sidri deck already fully built, so I don't even think I need. I don't really need the spot in there. It would just be nice to be able to recur a lot of the auras that I want to be able to put on Ragnar, because he's just gonna be. Essentially just trying to build a Voltron with Ragnar. He's his own hero. He's gonna have vigilance most of the time and be able to regenerate himself. So uh, yeah, that's basically the route I'm going, and I'm just pulling out all the stops on the power level, like Stoneforge Mystic, Snapcaster Mage, just retarded stuff to be able to replay all my cantrips and play a bunch of
Yeah.
swords and just ridiculous stuff. Guys still be in there. Just it's gonna be disgusting, but it most likely will lose all the time to mill decks or whatever. So, but it's for fun. So Ragnar for sure. Okay, so let's talk about Dragons of Tarkir. Have you had a chance to look at the spoiler at all?
I've looked through most of it. I've been looking through it all afternoon. I feel like I have to point one thing out. I feel like they missed a golden opportunity in this set
Yeah.
with Megamorph. I feel like it should have been called Mighty Morph because how do you not call it Mighty Morph?
This is true. This is true. I mean, it just makes the creature that much more mighty. I mean, it does make sense because I mean, it's not like they're mega sized.
And then
Megamorph I could see being if it's puts more than one counter,
they
like
could have they
maybe
could have
like
had a
four one
creature
ones.
called Ranger of Power with
Oh
Mighty Morph.
God.
Just missed a golden opportunity here.
Yeah, they did, and especially with it being five colors, they could have been like single one color knights or something in every
Right?
color or something, and they have megamorph, and if you control all five on the battlefield when the last one's megamorphed, they search your library for a five color creature that's called the megazord.
Just a golden
uh,
opportunity to miss
yeah,
there.
yeah, it's definitely an overlooked one. I was hoping to see something like a reprint of Nicole Bolas on a more serious note, but I mean, um, getting back to just a five color creature, I wish they would have done something just like five colors in this. Um, I've been saying for a while that we need a form of a five color tiny leader. I don't see it happening in the near future, but if Wizards does decide to give tiny leaders the support that players want them to give it, I've been hoping for a color tiny leader forever, and we decided the way I was talking to some of the guys down at the shop, the way they could do it and make it actually playable is something as simple as like a three color artifact creature that's like a 3/3 that just a vanilla creature, but then it has the ability on it in its text box for one of each color, so that it gives it color
Yeah.
identity, and then you sacrifice the creature, put a 9/9, or well maybe 9/9/9, but like something like put a 7/7 indestructible like a trample flying creature or something like that, dragon, into the battlefield or something. Just something where it gives you an excuse to be able to play a couple of the five color type deck builds. And I think you can do it. We have enough mana for it. We just got done having the three mana cycles. We had the enemy lands. We had the ally lands and things like that. Granted, dragons didn't have very much mana fixing, but I still think that yeah, they did pass up a golden opportunity to do a couple of cool things in this set.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
um,
overall, though, I think the stuff that they did do, I think is really cool. I did. It's very hard for me to. I kept reading exploit
sure.
and thinking, what was the other one? It starts with there was another keyword ability, but it was the black and white one that Chewie played. Chewie had a deck.
Oh man, are you talking about the one out of Gate Crash? Oh man, what I can't. Gate
I
Crash was
just
only a year ago.
I
Like,
just looked this up too.
yeah, it's black, white, pay one, and drains everyone,
Extort,
right? Or drains a target player or something.
extort.
Extort. There you go.
I kept
Yeah.
reading it, like, and then my head would say extort, and I'm like, how can they use this keyword twice? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
That was a
Yeah.
little hard for me to get past, but
Yeah. I saw some crazy stuff going on with exploit in the pre-release event.
there's
Um,
some weird stuff in there. Like, there's some stuff you could do, especially in like sealed and draft and stuff and things
yep.
like that.
Yep. I think one of the more strong, like really strong plays for extort is, or I'm sorry, extort, for
Let's see.
exploit. Yeah. Um, I want to say it was, looking through these right now. There's the 2/3 flyer that has exploit, and when it comes into the battlefield, you exploit, you draw 2 cards and lose 2 life. Now that thing was insane.
Yeah.
They use that in conjunction to the Youthful Scholar. It was a 2/2 for 4. Whenever Youthful Scholar dies, draw 2 cards. So this guy was, yeah, he was attacking me for 2, and then on that second, it was like turn 5 and sealed, but still, he attacked me for 2. Obviously, I don't want him to draw 2 cards, so I didn't block it. And then he just turns right around and plays a 2/3 flyer for complete upside, draws 4 cards and loses 2 life, and now he has a 2/3 blocker to where my 2/2 can't attack in. So I was just like, this is ridiculous.
Crazy.
So yeah, it is, and that's just, I mean, Youthful Scholar is an uncommon, so you will see it less, but I feel like it's definitely, if you're in blue in this, that's definitely a higher pick. Let me see what else we got here. So which one? Let's weigh in on the commands. That's something pretty easy we can talk about. Other than the planeswalkers, because that's like obviously the big hit item to talk about. But the commands, which command would you see yourself playing in the immediate future, or at least trying to pick up for decks that you currently have?
I haven't actually looked through those yet.
Okay, so we have
Tarkas is pretty crazy.
exactly. We have two that yeah, we have two that are in the Naya colors, red, green, and green, white, because they're all going to be the allied colors.
Yeah.
They're all instant, so they're all going to see some form of play. A lot of people are saying Silumgar's command is the worst, but I mean that thing destroys a planeswalker. Yeah, I can't get behind that being the worst one. I've talked about recently in my our previous video where I opened packs. I actually opened 4 of the 5 commands in that video
Did you?
out of 11 packs.
That's
Yeah, it
ridiculous.
was pretty dumb. I opened like Dragon Lord Kolgan, and there was like a foil faux Rager Regent or whatever, faux Razor Regent. Um, and I think the other mythic was the green. So I got 2 mythics and 4 commands out of 11 packs. I think that's pretty good. Um, but it was he's kind of lame. He has biorhythm on him. He's 2 colorless and a green. You tap and add 2 colorless mana, or sorry, 2 mana of any combination of colors to your mana pool that you can only spend on creature spells. He has formidable 9 and 2 green. Tap, and each player's life total becomes the number of creatures that he or she controls.
Oh yeah, I was
And you
just
can
looking
only
at
do
that guy.
this
That
with
guy's
8 or
crazy.
greater. So I mean, yeah, like I could see that. I mean, granted, I opened that card. I don't know if I want to sell him or not. I'm most likely going to put him in Janine's mono green EDH deck
Yeah.
because I mean you just puke up all of these creatures and you just have a retarded amount of creatures on turn 5 or 6. You're going to have the formidable, and if Nykthos is out, you're going to be able to play the formidable cost, and just some people some people just don't even have any creatures out
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah. It's
And I
just
mean,
crazy.
I'll just biorhythm kill like 3 people at the same time and have to deal with just one opponent. So, um, I could see the formidable taking effect in EDH. But other than that, in standard and all that stuff, I actually am kind of excited about it for Tiny Leader because it fits right into Tiny Leader.
Yeah.
And to me, um, it says it says play 1/3 of your deck by tapping this guy. You just
Yeah.
play one creature anytime you want. Just tap this guy, just gets you way ahead. So that's exciting. But other than that, let's get back to the commands. This is
All
just
right.
all random.
So
Go
having
ahead.
looked at all the commands now, I can see why people would say Silumgar's command is the worst.
Sure.
Like, I mean, to me though, paying 5 mana to destroy a planeswalker and bounce something like that's that's crazy. Or paying 5 mana to destroy a planeswalker and counter a non-creature spell, like that's just crazy. They could be playing a Garrick's in Garrick's Wake, and you're all, oh nope, I'm just kidding, or you're just kidding. I'm just going to destroy your planeswalker, and we're going to counter the Garrick's Wake. So
Yep.
there goes that.
Yep. Yep.
It being 5, I could see people thinking that is the worst. To me though, the two costs. That's just
Yeah.
they're just ridiculous because all I could think is, man, now I really want to build Naya Tiny Commander with an
Exactly.
Isochron.
Exactly. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. With the Isochron Scepter.
It's
Yeah.
just crazy.
Yeah. Those things are great for Isochron. Especially since Isochron's just an artifact. You can just yeah.
Yeah,
It's gonna be perfect. Um, Weighing in on Solemgar's command, I think it's my favorite, other than Ojutai's. I mean, great, yeah. The control player saying that the two control commands are his favorite, like, duh, that's true. Um, but I've taken some time to look at it a little deeper. With Ojutai's command, I know people are saying that Snapcaster is not going to be that important to recur with that, but I think it's going to be amazing actually. Ojutai's command can reanimate a Snapcaster and counter any other creature spell that they're playing, or even just gain a life and bring back a blocker like a chump blocker. It essentially to me says the same thing that Cryptic Command says is almost like a time walk. They go to do their turn, you're gonna tap all their creatures down and draw a card, or counter the spell and tap all your creatures. So you literally don't get a turn, and then I just go back to my turn and I'm gonna do my own thing. And that's similar to what Ojutai's command is going to do for standard. Silumgar's command is perfect for the black-blue control decks that want that card. I mean, uh, so I played Black Blue Control in Standard just recently, and if I had had Silumgar's command, I know that I would have won so many more of my games because I wasn't able to deal with them playing a Planeswalker and then also in the same turn, I needed to 2-for-1 them, and I didn't have a single card to 2-for-1. At the same time, a 5 mana cost spell at instant speed matches exactly and fits in the same slot as Jace's Ingenuity, which that deck is running
yeah,
3 to 4 of, and they're waiting till end of the turn to draw 3 cards, or now you have even a bigger option to where you can, at the end of turn, Silumgar's Command, Jace's Ingenuity, or crack your Perilous Vault. So you had all these different modes where your opponent, once you got to 5 land and you just sat there with your mana up, you either had Disdainful Stroke and a Dissolve, or the deck had just had too many options. So with Silumgar's command, I feel like it's in the perfect place, and that's going to be perfect for standard going forward. Um, the worst I would say is Kolaghan's command.
it's really really underwhelming.
Yeah, yeah, that for 3 mana, that needed all it needed to be decent on the power level than the other commands, I think, would be to be able to destroy target artifact or creature, and I
Yeah,
think that would be okay. The damage, unless they didn't want to do, that would technically give it 5 options. So um,
yeah.
I guess you could say maybe that 2 damage to target creature or player should actually just be 3 damage, just to be fair.
I would have bumped the damage up to 3, and I would have made it exile target artifact instead of destroy.
There you go. That would have been perfect. Yeah, because just the little subtlety to exiling
The
an
other two
artifact is
abilities
great.
are awesome, but
Yeah,
just I mean you gotta, yeah.
yeah,
what's the point in playing this, choosing to destroy an artifact? I mean, I get that it's black red.
Hmm.
No, it's got red. I mean, you can just shatter it. Like there's
Yep. Yep.
there's enough destroy artifacts that doesn't even matter at that
Yeah.
point.
And I mean, you have to talk about this in being in the form of a bubble and in just in general sealed in that whole format. Um, I guess maybe the reason why the damage wasn't so high was because if you look just right next to it, Silumgar's command gives a creature -3/-3, so maybe they didn't want to have the option to kill off some of these dragons that are in the format with just a Kolaghan's command, because that would really push Kolaghan's command. I mean, you look at some of the uncommon dragons; they're all 3/3 unless you megamorph them. Um, Even the Harbinger of the Hunt, a 5/3 that's for 5 mana. You can't kill that with Kolaghan's command. You can kill it
Yeah,
with Silumgar's at 5 mana, but you just can't. So I could see that's the reason why they kept it at 2. Um, I don't know. Even something like Kolaghan's command could only do 3 damage to target monocolored creature. I would happily take that over this 3 damage to a player, because we don't, I'd rather play Blightning in every other format. So um, I think these commands will be stable around $3 to $8, and the ones hitting $8 are going to be on the weekends when they obviously are seeing play as a three or
yeah,
four of in that deck. Other than that, though, they're still fluctuating. People are touting that this set is actually going to be the lowest dollar value for like per pack that you're able to get in a long time. The last time we had a set that was worth like few dollars as a whole was Dragon's Maze, where most of the money was just in 2 or 3 cards in being I think Voice of Resurgence. So this set looks okay on paper, but in practical cases and in applying to standard and every other format, it's for tabletop players that like
yeah.
dragons.
Which
um,
there are plenty of to sell
Oh
this
yeah.
set.
Oh yeah, there's millions, millions. And there's nothing against, tabletop players. That's where we all start and that's where we all,
Where
you
we
know.
still play most of the
Exactly,
time.
exactly. Sure. There's a lot of us actually. I think all of our buddies are all still considered tabletop players. But yeah. So let's take a second and talk about the two planeswalkers in the set. That's where most people are saying the money in this set is going to go
For
and
sure,
is
for
going to
sure.
settle. I also think personally, on a side note, that Haven of the Spirit Dragon will actually see uh, about $7 settling once everything's all said and done with the value in the set. Once you realize that most sets have to total around 150 to $200 in value in order for it to be worth it to buy a box. If it doesn't break $150, it's never worth it to buy a box. And they're saying that this set as a singleton is only worth $79. I might be, little off on those figures, but that's a huge price disparity. Um, let's go ahead and talk about Sarkhan Unbroken. What do you think about this guy?
Oh, Sarkhan. So you got draw a card and adamant. I mean, the plus one's pretty ridiculous.
Yep, yep. There's
Like
no
just,
downside to that +1.
hey, you get to draw a card, and I'm basically a land.
Yep,
I mean,
yep.
you can't do it at instant speed, but still.
Hmm.
I'm not. I mean, I'm not super big on the -2. Like, it's cool you're getting dragons for it, but I think really it's the plus one and the -8. They're pretty ridiculous.
Sure.
But
Now,
I
I
think
mean,
I just end up using that plus one over and over and over.
right, right, exactly. I mean, that's how you're going to build your deck around him. It feels like this card is super pushed, even though it's okay. So you look at like the fact that it's 3 mana, 3 separate mana colors, um, and we're coming from, like I said, we could almost have. It feels like this guy should have been 5 color, right?
Yeah,
He's 5 mana. He's green, blue, red. He feels like maybe he should have been 5 colors, just because then he would have been Sarkhan. The whole lore of his name being Sarkhan Vol, which is basically Sky Khan, and him being the Khan over all the other Khans. Um, just feels like it should have been 5 color. Even
Yeah.
the picture looks like it could have, lent to a 5 color type deal. But that aside, which would have just been funny. Um, that aside, he protects himself. -2 gets a 4/4 dragon, and in this format, you have all kinds of support for dragons. The thing that I don't like about him is, of course, his 3 mana restriction.
Yeah.
And I personally would rather have the other Sarkin, the mono red one from Cons. That guy, he's insane, and I built decks around the other Sarkin. This one I'm sure is a good build around card, but it's too restrictive on the mana cost. I'm not really a big fan of Rug and Teamer or whatever you would call it, um, but it is what it is, and it's pretty nice art. I don't know.
Yeah. The picture's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, obviously no one's upset to open them.
Yeah.
Uh,
You're not gonna be sad if you get him
for
another
sure.
pack.
The little Timmy in all of us wants to open Planeswalkers. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Uh, unless it's Tibble, unfortunately. But all right, so next we'll talk about Narset Transcendent.
You mean Narset ridiculous?
Ridiculous. Yep.
Ridiculous.
Yep. Baby girl.
First of all, the fact that she only costs 4 and comes out with 6 loyalty counters,
Sure.
it's just crazy. Like,
Yep.
that's just ridiculous.
Yep.
It's just, and especially in blue white, like you're controlling everything they get to do anyways. So
Yep.
starting her off at 6, that just makes her so hard to kill.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I I opened this in my sealed pool when
Did you really?
yes, I did.
Oh man,
Yeah, so I am in possession of a Narset Transcendent. I said this on my last video that um, in sealed, she's terrible. In
I can see.
sealed, specifically the pre-release. Now, I don't know how that's going to pan out with the actual release. Every format is specific to a certain type of, play style, because you get specific packs. Now, with this pre-release, what happened was you would get 4 packs of dragons, 1 pack of Fate Reforged, and 1 seeded pack. I picked Dramoka, so those colors didn't really lend well to, blue-white spells and,
Yeah,
shenanigans and counters. Now, it would have been great if I opened her in black-blue, because, I would have gotten Silumgar style, support with counter spells, kill spells, things like that, and giving those rebound and searching them up from the top of my library would have been great. What I found though is she is a 4 mana amazing fog. uh,
yeah.
I would play her and put her down. I would have, a bunch of dragons and creatures out, and they would just go silly nuts on just sending their
Just
creatures
trying
to
to kill
kill
her.
her. Yeah, thinking that, I had some kind of spells. Literally, the only game that she gave me was Rebound on. Oh man, I always forget what this card's called, but all it is 1 and a white, instant, tap target creature, draw a card. Now,
Yeah,
I mean, that card's just whatever. That's the lowest of the low of cantrip, you know, safety spell or combat trick or whatever for sealed or draft. You only take that if you can't get any kind of damage or anything, any kind of kill spell. um but that rebounding on their biggest creature and drawing me 2 cards, just essentially giving me more card draw at the same time while doing her +1. Just, I enjoyed it for that aspect. But if I hadn't had that spell, I would oftentimes +1 her, look at the top card, land. Nothing. Look at the top card, nothing. And what that's telling me too is, or I'm sorry, telling the opponent is that, oh, that's not a spell. So I don't have to worry. That's either just a creature or a land. And if they had a negate in their hand, they could save the negate for another spell. And, I felt like it gave them too much information.
yeah,
Um, yes, she is insane for the number of counters she comes in with. I'm actually more excited to see her played with doubling season.
yeah,
Um, just because you play her and immediately ultimate her, and you get to keep her, and they don't get to cast, non-creature spells for this game. Like that is,
yeah. That's ridiculous.
with doubling season, that's insane. So, her coming in with, that many loyalty counters, I think is going to make her a permanent fixture for EDH control decks in the future. So,
For sure.
All right, man. So let's go ahead and wrap up. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I just want to point out again. I know. We talked about this a little earlier. I don't know if we recorded all that, but mono white, dude.
Oh yeah,
Seriously,
yeah. We didn't get that on there. Go ahead and talk about it.
mono white in Dragons of Tarkir is
Sure.
absolutely insane.
Now,
Like,
what do you mean as far as just the card pool, like the card quality, or
just
like what makes you feel that way?
mostly Anafenza because
Okay.
she's ridiculous.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But just the fact that they're like, oh, here's Anafenza with this ridiculous ability. Now we're just gonna go ahead and give you all of these other white things with bolster that
Yep.
gets even more ridiculous.
Yep. Yep.
And let's just be ridiculous in mono white and all for less than 3 mana
Yeah. Yeah.
because that's what we need to do right now. Like just looking at the spoiler here, you got Anafenza, right? Two
Yep.
two. So whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, bolster one. So
Sure.
every time anything comes in, something on your board is getting bigger.
Yep.
So people are already scared.
Yep.
And then you start playing things like Erishan Foremost, who only costs 3, 2/2 double strike. When he enters the battlefield to attacks another target warrior creature you control gains double strike until end of turn.
Yeah.
So, like now, every time something enters the battlefield, something's getting bigger, and every time this guy attacks, something's getting double strike. Like it's just,
Yep.
and that's how I feel like everything in white. Like looking through the other colors, I feel like they kind of go together.
Yeah.
But you look through white, and it's just like here, if you just shuffled all of the white cards as
Yep.
a one of,
Yep.
like you'd have a ridiculous deck.
For sure.
Like
For
it would
sure.
all work together.
Yeah, they definitely did their homework on the white stuff. White weenie is super prevalent. I do feel like all the colors do very they focus very much on what that color is supposed to do. You know, like white, like you said, just builds upon itself. Snowballs, for instance. I feel like the blue stuff really wants to be tricky and do random things here and there. You even have something like a frost giant dragon. You have uh, a version. It's kind of like a weird version of oh man, I can't remember. But the contradict spell where you counter draw, you even have a functional style cryptic command in the set that's a common. Like it's just ridiculous. My green pool I saw, green really is just beef. Just they
Yeah.
bring the beef, and I love that they reprinted explosive vegetation. That card is amazing in sealed
Right.
and draft and everything. That's definitely a first pick because, even if you're only splashing green, that just helps you get to everything else you need. So, yeah, I'm right there with you with the white stuff. I in my pool I played Bant, so that I could play Narset. I also had opened a Dramoka's command, and a Sunscorcher Regent was my pre-release promo. So I had misread Sunscorcher Regent. Everyone on Twitter and all these other, podcasts and forums and everything was saying, "Man, that card's amazing. That card's amazing." And I was more so focused on Thunderbreak Regent because of the whole lightning bolt whenever you target one of your dragons. Because I felt like in modern, in other formats, that's going to see more play. But Sunscorcher Regent was insane. I would play that thing on turn 5 or even earlier because I would, ramp up with some little mana dork or whatever, and they couldn't play anything.
Yeah, he's crazy.
They would play two spells or whatever. I would negate their spell and they would play something else, and then they would say go, having not killed him, and then I would untap. He'd be a 7/5 or a 7/6, and they were just like, yeah, I can't, I got to scoop, and they would just scoop. It was sad, but that card was amazing. So it also messes up with combat math when you're getting really low and they start playing spells to kill you.
Yeah.
You know, it nerfs their bolt to the face type deal. Well, I'm gonna gain one, and this guy's gonna get bigger. So it's really cool. That I like that card a lot. White also offers Myth Realized, and a lot of people are talking about that card just being a breakout card.
It's pretty gnarly.
Just waiting for someone to kind of make that Monastery Mentor Myth Realized Wrath type deck, where you just Wrath the board, then drop your Monastery Mentor, and just they have to play spells in order to come back, and you're just countering, and this guy gets huge, you just attack in, and you have all these little monks and this guy just leading the way. So
And then there's all these like little things too that you don't think about, and then you take another look at it and you're like, oh yeah, oh Dragon Hunter's okay. Oh wait, it's got protection from dragons. Oh no, Dragon Hunter's ridiculous.
yep,
Like
yep,
here's one white mana, you can block any dragon. That's
yep.
just crazy. But then they also put in things like Aven Sunstriker, which I'm still staring at trying to figure out why.
Even
Like
Sunstriker.
it's the 1/1
Okay.
flying double strike for 3, but it's got Megamorph for 5.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna pay 5 for a 2/2 flying double strike.
I mean that.
Not
I think at that point you're kind of just spoiled with power creep.
no. I mean I might be, but like 5 for a 2/2 flying double strike, like that's overcosted anyways.
It
And
doesn't.
like
Yeah, it doesn't feel. It doesn't feel like it should be 5, maybe 4,
drop it to
or
4 and it's perfect. You
yeah,
play
yeah,
morph it on turn 3, unmorph it on turn 4. But now
yep,
you're morphing it on turn 3. It's sitting there for a turn. And then you're unmorphing it on turn 5 and they're like, "Oh, it's a 2/2. I don't care."
yeah. And even then, you got to remember that's all you're gonna do on turn 5. Turn 5 and turn 4 are the pivotal turns. Do you really want that to be all you're doing? That's
Yeah.
no. Nobody wants to do that. It's actually more beneficial to just play this Aven out just as is and bolster because white has all this bolster because it'll be the smallest creature. So
Yep.
you just bolster a bunch. Yeah,
I would
it's
probably play it in Tiny Commander if I was trying to build mono white warriors based around Anafenza and
sure.
Aerishan and stuff.
Yeah,
I'd play it, but it wouldn't be morphed at any point. It would just be coming out.
yeah,
I'd be
yep.
paying 3, and it would be hitting the board as a 1/1 flying double strike,
Now,
probably bolstering itself and becoming a 2/2.
now, just on a side note, do you think that this would see, because this interacts, this having Megamorph perhaps just interacts well with Mastery of the Unseen? I know we've seen a lot of tribal decks, or I mean, sorry, a lot of devotion decks, hitting out with green and all that stuff. Could we possibly see a mono white Mastery of the Unseen deck?
Possibly.
I
Um,
mean,
but just, I don't
sure,
know.
yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, it's probably a stretch because green ramps so well and everything's got already on that path for, double green and all this stuff like that. So, I mean, you could morph that guy, pay his megamorph cost, and gain life off of the, Master the Unseen in that way. So,
Yeah, but still, like, I don't know. I just feel like there's better options. Like,
for sure, yeah,
I honestly, I mean, if that's the route we're gonna go, I'd rather just manifest off the mastery and hit like a Dragon's Eye Sentry or something and
sure,
unmorph it for 1.
sure.
Like, I don't. Very underwhelming. If it was a common, I'd be fine with it. But as
Right.
an uncommon, I'm not buying it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm going to talk about one last card and then we can call this because, I mean, we could probably talk about the spoilers forever. How do you feel about it's a red card? It's the 2 red Dragon Whisperer. It's a human shaman mythic. It's a 2/2, 1 red Dragon Whisperer gains flying until end of turn. 1 and a red Dragon Whisperer gets fire breathing +1/+0 until end of turn. And then its formidable cost. Let me see, I gotta click on this, it's actually small. Alright, Formidable is 4 colorless and 2 red. Put a 4/4 red dragon creature token with flying onto the battlefield. That token doesn't come into play tapped. That there is no sacrifice effect. I mean, once you hit 8 power, this thing just starts pooping out 4/4 red dragons.
Which
How
guy
do,
is this?
it's Dragon Whisperer. It's further down in the red section.
Two games lane. Put a 4/4. Yeah, it's yeah. The fact that it doesn't have a tap, like you're
Yep.
just like, yeah, just I've got an extra 6 mana. I'm gonna
It
put a dragon.
never
Like
has a tap. Yeah, on all of 3 of its abilities has no tap effect. So I
that
mean,
makes it pretty ridiculous.
that essentially gives it pseudo haste. Obviously, you're not going to attack with it. That's essentially what haste is for. But people often just associate that just haste says attacking. Well, haste, you have to tap. This thing you don't have to tap ever. So you can drop this thing down and start using it immediately. So if you have, you know, 8 power in dragons. Say you have a, just any dragon. Doesn't matter what format you have. You have any dragon. This thing's a 2/2. Most dragons are 6/6s. That activates your formidable.
Yeah.
So I could see this thing getting up to $12, $15, especially being a mythic. Like I was saying before, the value has to go somewhere in this set. So I could see this card being the breakout card. I'm actually curious.
I actually like it because it's kind of
Go ahead.
it's kind of like it's kind of like bluish play style in red. Like you're specifically leaving mana open. Like, hey, look,
Yep.
I might do this, and then you can just drop all this stuff out of your hand instead because people are they're gonna be so worried about like, oh, I gotta deal with this 4/4 dragon when it comes out, so maybe I need to leave the mana open for this, and I don't know when he's gonna do that, and then you're like, oh, well, instead I'm just going to play Draconic Roar or play whatever.
Hmm.
Like, I like it. I like it for that aspect, but that's just because I don't like red.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, the red mage over here, that's my roots. I'm like, man, this thing's amazing. It's like, but I'm taking a look on TCG Player right now just to give everyone an idea. I mean, it's only, all right, we're recording this on Monday, March 23rd. The set doesn't release until the 27th. So in pre-sale terms, this card is pre-selling for $6.38.
It's
Um,
gonna go up.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
$6 is the quote unquote safe number for most mythics that actually could see possible playability. And I mean, red deck wins is usually the deck that everyone tries to go for when a new set comes out. It's the most aggressive, and there's a reason why Stormbreath Dragons have been going up to like $16, $17. This thing, I think, with Stormbreath Dragon could really see some play. Let's see. With you also have Thunderbreak Regent playable in that same deck. So Stormbreath is a 5-drop, Thunderbreak Regent's a 4-drop, and this thing's a 2-drop. I mean, and then you have Phoenixes at 3 drops. It's just that deck, it wants this card, and I could see this, like I said, hitting $15. So if that's your financial spec on the night, then that's pretty much what I'm telling you. Pick up Dragon Whisperer. Um, Worst comes to worst, you sell it to a Timmy player later
yeah,
when it's still $9 because EDH. Like,
yeah. It's gonna pop up at least $3
yeah, yeah. So
minimum.
at least it's going to stabilize for a long time at $9, and if it ever sees lower than that, it's a mistake. So, um, all right, so let's go ahead and wrap up. For MTG Mind Games, my name's Scott. You can follow me on Twitter at Sergeant Scooter, and you can follow, like, and subscribe to our MTG Mind Games YouTube channel. I will obviously, if you're hearing this, you're already watching it, so please like and subscribe and let us know what you guys think. We're going to try and keep it nice, casual, and relaxed on the podcast here. The YouTube is going to be specific for pack openings and, interviews and things like that in our local community. Just starting this kind of on a whim. Um, I'm going to go ahead and call you my co-host, but, that's because we've been best friends for like 19, 20 years almost.
Yeah,
So,
I'll probably end up doing this over
so for
anyways.
sure, yeah, so go ahead, Evan. If you want to plug yourself or plug anything or let anyone know what they should do, go ahead and
Uh,
lead us out.
I don't have anything to plug. At some point, I'll actually start looking at my Twitter and my
For sure,
everything.
for sure,
But
right?
at that point, I will plug myself. But for the time being, I'm good.
All right. All right. Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll catch you later.